You know what the Indiana Fever just did? They signed a player that literally nobody saw coming, and the story behind it is way more wild than you think. While everyone's been panicking about Caitlin Clark's injury situation getting worse by the day, the Fever just pulled off a move that has fans completely divided. Some are calling it genius, others are calling it desperate, but wait until you hear what really happened behind the scenes that nobody's talking about. Before we dive into this absolute chaos that's unfolding in Indianapolis, hit that like button if you're ready for some truth bombs about what's really happening with the Fever. Trust me, you're gonna want to stick around for this one. So picture this. The Indiana Fever are down to basically no point guards. Sydney Colson, season-ending injury. Ari McDonald, same thing, done for the year. Caitlin Clark, she's been out since July 15th with her third groin injury of the season, and the latest update from coach Stephanie White basically confirms she's not coming back anytime soon. We're talking about a player who never missed a single game in college or her rookie year, and now she's missed 19 games this season. 19! That's insane. And here's where it gets interesting. The Fever just signed Kyra Lambert to a 7-day contract, and the internet is losing its mind over this. Now, the Fever's official press release claims she averaged 15.4 points and 6.3 assists in Greece. But hold up, because fans who actually looked up her game logs are saying she only averaged 8.3 points per game. 8.3! So which is it? Are the Fever inflating her stats? Or are they looking at different competitions? This discrepancy alone tells you something weird is going on here. But wait, it gets better. Remember when the Fever signed Odyssey Sims to that hardship contract last week? Well, now they've got 2 emergency point guards, and people are starting to wonder if the Fever know something about Caitlin Clark's injury that they're not telling us. Think about it. If Clark was coming back soon, would they really be scrambling to sign every available point guard in the world? Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham, who's been with the Fever since that massive 3-team trade back in February, has completely transformed into the team's enforcer, and she's been absolutely balling lately. She dropped 18 against her old team Phoenix last week, 16 against the Sky, and get this, after that Mercury game where they got blown out 95-60. Sophie straight up said, and I quote, "Arizona was good to me, but I'm way happier where I'm at now. I'm way happier in Indiana." That's huge. Here's a player who spent 6 years in Phoenix, and she's publicly saying she's happier with a team that's dealing with constant injuries and chaos. That tells you something about what they're building in Indianapolis. Even with all this drama, players want to be there. But here's where the Lambert signing gets really suspicious. Lambert played at both Duke and Texas in college. She's been a professional in France, Latvia, New Zealand, Slovakia, Turkey, and Greece. This woman has literally played on every continent except Antarctica. She's seen every style of basketball you can imagine. And the Fever signed her for 7 days? Come on, there's more to this story. Now, let me break down what's really happening here, because I did some digging that'll blow your mind. The Greek league where Lambert was playing, it's not exactly the WNBA. We're talking about a league where Jessica Shepard was dropping 30 points a game like it was nothing. 30, and she's a solid player, don't get me wrong, but 30 points a game, that tells you something about the level of competition. And Lambert, she had more games where she scored 4 or less points than games where she scored over 20. She had 2 20-point games in Greece. 2, she had 1 15-point game in EuroLeague. This isn't exactly inspiring confidence, but here's the plot twist nobody saw coming. Lambert wasn't just playing in Greece, she was supposedly named EuroCup Guard of the Year. Guard of the Year? But with stats like 8.3 points per game, something doesn't add up. Either that award means nothing, or there's more to this story than we're being told. And listen to this timeline, because it's crucial. The Washington Mystics just signed Madison Scott to a 7-day contract right before their game against the Fever. The Wings are making moves. Every team in the league is scrambling for guards right now. It's like there's a guard shortage crisis happening in real time, and the Fever are right in the middle of it. But what really has me thinking is this. The Fever are currently 18-15, sitting in 3rd place in the Eastern Conference, and they've actually been playing well without Clark. They're 10-9 in games without her this season. Sophie Cunningham has stepped up huge during this stretch. Kelsey Mitchell's been carrying the offensive load. So why the panic to sign Lambert? Unless, and hear me out on this, unless they know Clark isn't coming back this season. I know, that sounds crazy, but look at the facts. Clark has been doing light running for weeks now. Weeks. She still hasn't returned to practice. Stephanie White keeps saying it's day-to-day, but day-to-day for over a month isn't day-to-day anymore. That's something else entirely. She's currently on her 11th straight game missed with this injury. Here's what I think is really going on, and this is just my theory, but it makes sense. The Fever are preparing for the playoffs without Caitlin Clark. They're not saying it publicly because ticket sales would tank, but internally, they're building a roster that can compete without their superstar. That's why they got Sims, that's why they got Lambert, and that's probably why Sophie Cunningham has elevated her game to another level since Clark went down. And speaking of Sophie, can we talk about how she literally had to walk to the arena the other day because her car broke down? She showed up sweating in her pregame outfit, told everyone about it on camera, and then went out and played like nothing happened. That's the kind of toughness this Fever team has developed. No drama, no excuses. Just show up and ball out. That's the culture they've built, even through all this adversity. But back to Lambert. Here's what's fascinating about her specifically. She's supposedly a really good defensive point guard. Point of attack defense is her specialty. You know what the Fever have been missing? Exactly that. They've been getting torn apart by opposing guards all season. Mitchell's been trying to do everything on offense, but she needs help on defense. Lambert might be that help. Now, some fans are absolutely roasting this signing. They're pointing out that Lambert is maybe the 17th best point guard in the EuroLeague. They're saying she can't even shoot the three consistently. She had times where she played 37 minutes and scored 0 points. 0! In a blowout game. Like, how does that even happen? Think about it this way, though. Lambert has been playing professional basketball for years. She knows how to survive in this business. The Fever needs someone who can come in, run the offense for 20 minutes a game, not turn the ball over too much, and play defense. If Lambert can do that for 7 days, while they figure out their next move, maybe that's enough. But here's the real question nobody's asking. What happens after 7 days? Does Lambert go back to Europe? Does she get another 7-day contract? Or, and this is the interesting part, does she stick around if she plays well? Because let me tell you something. If she comes in and somehow balls out, the Fever would be crazy not to keep her. And let's talk about what this means for the rest of the roster. Kelsey Mitchell has been carrying this team offensively. Aaliyah Boston's been solid, but inconsistent. Sophie Cunningham has become the heart and soul of this team, bringing that enforcer mentality they desperately needed. The roster is thin, injuries are piling up, and now they're signing players to 7-day contracts just to have enough bodies for practice. This is crisis mode, folks. But you know what? Sometimes crisis brings out the best in teams. Look at what Sophie Cunningham has become since joining Indiana. She went from being a role player in Phoenix to being a key piece of the Fever's identity. That trade in February might end up being one of the best moves the Fever have made in years. But let's get back to the elephant in the room, which is Caitlin Clark's injury situation. 3 separate groin injuries in one season is not normal. That's a pattern. That's a problem. And the fact that she was literally crying on the bench when the last one happened tells you everything you need to know about her mental state. This isn't just physical anymore, it's mental too. You've got arguably the biggest star in women's basketball, someone who transformed the league's popularity overnight, and she can't stay healthy. That's a disaster for the Fever and for the WNBA. TV ratings have already dropped when she's out. Ticket prices plummet. The All-Star game without her was missing something, even though she was there as a captain. If you're still watching, drop a comment below with your thoughts on whether Clark comes back this season or not. I genuinely want to know what you all think because this situation is unprecedented. Now, let's talk about what Lambert's signing means for the bigger picture. The WNBA is at a crossroads right now. Expansion is coming, salaries are going up, viewership is growing, but injuries are becoming a massive problem. The compressed schedule, the travel, the physicality, it's all adding up. And smaller market teams like Indiana are getting hit the hardest. Lambert represents something interesting, though. She's proof that there's talent out there in international leagues that could contribute in the BW. How many more Kyra Lamberts are out there, playing in Greece or Turkey or France, who could help WNBA teams? This 7-day contract might be the start of something bigger. But here's my hot take, and this might be controversial. I think the Fever actually made a smart move here. Not because Lambert is going to be a star, but because they're thinking outside the box. They're not just sitting around waiting for Clark to get healthy. They're being proactive. They're trying things. That's how you build a winning culture. And the fact that established players like Sophie Cunningham are thriving in this environment. Sophie spent 6 years in Phoenix, and she's happier in Indiana dealing with all this chaos. That's not just about basketball, that's about culture, coaching, and believing in something bigger. Look at how they've responded to adversity. Instead of folding when Clark went down, they've actually played competitively in most games. They've developed chemistry. Sophie's become their emotional leader. Mitchell's elevated her game. They've found an identity. And Lambert, even for just 7 days, is now part of that. Here's another angle nobody's considering. What if Lambert is just the beginning? What if the Fever are planning to sign multiple players to short contracts, essentially holding tryouts for next season? With so many players becoming free agents, this could be a clever way to evaluate talent without making long-term commitments. The timing is also suspicious. Why now? Why not wait another week to see if Clark improves? Unless they know something we don't. Maybe Clark's injury is worse than reported. Maybe there's been a setback. Or maybe, just maybe, they're being extra cautious because they're thinking about the future, not just this season. And let's be real about Lambert for a second. Yes, the Greek League isn't the WNBA, but she did win the league championship with Olympiakos. She was named to some all-league teams. Maybe her stats don't jump off the page, but sometimes it's not about the stats. Sometimes it's about fit, timing, and opportunity. But here's what really matters. Can she handle the pressure? Can she step into a situation where the franchise player is hurt, the season is on the line, and everyone's watching to see if you fail? That's the real test. Not the stats, not the accolades, but the mental toughness to perform when everything's on the line. You know what's crazy? The Fever have gone from having too many guards to having none in the span of a few weeks. That's how quickly things can change in professional sports. One day you're deep at a position, the next day you're signing players off the street, basically. The pressure on Lambert is insane, though. She's got 7 days to prove she belongs in the best women's basketball league in the world. 7 days to show she can run an offense at the highest level. 7 days to potentially earn herself a longer contract. That's pressure most of us can't even imagine. But you know what the craziest part of all this is? The Fever are still in playoff position. Despite all the injuries, all the drama, all the uncertainty, they're still in the hunt. Sophie Cunningham's toughness has rubbed off on the whole team. They're fighters now. That's actually impressive when you think about it. Most teams would have folded by now. And if Lambert can help them maintain that playoff position, even for just 7 days, she'll have done her job. Sometimes that's all you need, someone to hold the fort while you figure out your next move. She doesn't need to be Magic Johnson, she just needs to be competent. Here's what I predict happens. Lambert plays decent, not great, but decent. She manages the game, doesn't turn it over much, plays solid defense. The Fever keep her for another 7 days, maybe another after that. By then, hopefully Clark is back, or at least closer to returning. But if Clark doesn't come back this season, and that's looking more likely every day, then Lambert might stick around longer. She might even earn herself a spot for next season. Stranger things have happened in the WNBA. Players have built entire careers off opportunities like this. The real story here, though, is how this team has evolved. Sophie Cunningham has gone from trade piece to team leader. Mitchell's become an elite scorer. The culture has completely changed. They're not the same old Fever anymore. They're fighters. And Lambert better be ready to fight too if she wants to stick around. As we wrap this up, here's what you need to remember. The Fever are fighting for their playoff lives. They've got a superstar who can't stay healthy, role players stepping up big time, and now they're taking chances on unknown players from overseas. It's chaos, but it's controlled chaos. They have a plan, even if we can't see it yet. Lambert's 7 days start now. By the time you're watching this, she might have already played her first game. She might have been amazing, or she might have been terrible. But that's the beauty of sports. Anything can happen. David can beat Goliath. Unknown players can become legends. 7-day contracts can turn into careers. So make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell because we're going to be following this story closely. The Fever's season, Caitlin Clark's health, Lambert's opportunity, Sophie Cunningham's continued dominance, it's all connected and it's all fascinating. This is the kind of drama that makes sports amazing. Whether Lambert succeeds or fails, whether Clark comes back or doesn't, whether the Fever make the playoffs or miss them, this season is already one for the history books, and we're all witnessing it in real time. So buckle up, because the next few weeks are going to be absolutely wild in Indianapolis.